Welcome to the DSRX podcast, a raw exploration of regenerative relating through vulnerable shares, practical tools, and ecstatic experiments from our own long-term love story. Beyond traditional dominance and submission, DSRX names a new terrain, devotion and service, that include the cycles of RX as a central medicine for integrating deeper power exchange and erotic connection.
Welcome back to DSRX. Last time we talked about set and setting, how creating the right container outside of you, the atmosphere, the vibe, the room, changes everything. Your own body set, mindset, and the setting you're in. But today I want to dive a little even deeper into this, because once the room is set, once your body's prepared, and once all of these things are set, it's really about being able to host her context, not just obsess over the content. I want to dive a little bit more into this. This concept of context versus content is actually articulated well in the 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership by Jim Detmer and Diane Schottman. Great book. Thank you to both of them. And they speak about it at work, but I think this applies at home and it applies in relationships. And I'm going to bring some of my own take with this, because here's the mistake most men make. They think that they'll unlock her like a machine or a puzzle. They think it's all content. But she doesn't actually feel your what. She feels your context. It's the how you do it. If your energy is tight, if you're defensive, if you're disconnected, if your heart is closed, she's going to feel it. She's going to feel it. And guess what? She's not going to open up. So think of it this way. Content is masculine. It's form, it's structure, it's technique. Context is feminine. It's flow, it's energy, it's relationality. The feminine lives in context. She feels the in-between. She feels how one thing is related to another thing. It's a dynamic system. The way you say it, the look in your eyes, the silence after your words. So if you focus only on content, only on the words, only on the moves, only on a desired outcome, you're missing actually what opens her up. You're missing her entire world. And that's where polarity collapses. And let me break this down and even say it a little bit more clearly. When you prioritize content over context, what you're really saying is my outcome matters more than the way I get there, which means the end justifies the means, which means the energy becomes coercive. It will inherently create a frequency of force. And so women will feel that immediately. Even if your words sound right, even if you're doing all the right things, men today are confused though, because they do these techniques and they think that by being in their head and doing all this stuff in the right way, that somehow they're not being that dickish guy, right? Or they abdicate authority altogether. They stop leading and they collapse into boyhood. Here's the thing. She wants you to be able to feel the room. There's those memorable guys who radiate. It's not the resume, it's their presence. It's their energy, their way of handling and holding themselves. It's the way of being. Great artists get this is what contemporary art's about. In fact, John Cage is a great contemporary artist. A lot of people might miss, but I really appreciate his work. His piece, 4 minutes and 33 seconds, it's all context. It's just the sounds of the room. It's just the audience breathing. It's an extreme example of this. It's the cough in the back row. This is the art. And this is actually the feminine in a living field. It's alive. There's zero content with this. It's all context. The context becomes the content. This is why people struggle with contemporary art, because they're looking for content only and not seeing that the context is often the content. What is this painting showing? What does this piece mean? And they miss the whole part that the whole thing is contextual. They miss that it's about the energy in the relationship between the elements, between the concepts and the ideas and how they do it. All of this stuff matters. It's not just the thing. It's about the feeling underneath the form. 3-year-olds get this. They don't give a shit about what you say. They don't even know, they can't comprehend that, but they will 100% feel what you say. They care about how you say it. They care about your tone, your frequency, your energy. It's that is felt. That's the whole presence. Great lovers, like great artists, understand this. Great musicians understand this. They're not just playing the notes, they're also playing the silence in between the notes. Great comedians get this. It's all timing, right? I've made this mistake so much in my relationship with every woman, especially at the beginning with Rachel. Early on, I would say all the conscious things or do it right. I read the books. I practiced the communication scripts, but the context was off. My energy was tight. I was trying to prove myself. Rachel felt it. Sexually, it didn't matter that I had the right moves. She didn't feel my presence with it. She didn't feel my heart open in it. She didn't feel my vulnerability with it. She felt me proving. She felt my ego. And I've talked about this story before, about this moment where she said to me, "Don't touch me like that with a closed heart." God, it hurt. And I think it hurt because I understood what she meant as I felt into it. A closed heart is when you put content over context. Context includes all of the layers underneath and around you both. Context is like what happened yesterday, what happened between you, what state you're in after a long day, what challenging parenting moment that you just had, what's the exasperation that she's carrying in from her family drama that she just got off the phone with, and she's in a state and you're in a state, and she ate some shitty food that's upsetting her belly. It's the time in her cycle, the time of day, all of these things, the global stress that happens, something, just in the air. Your job is to be aware of all of this. It can be overwhelming. If it's not overwhelming at first, you're not doing it right. Because context is also about grief. It's about stuff that lingers in her nervous system. It's about trauma. It's about all these things. This is why it's so important to be in your body, because it's not about learning this like in a technique, content kind of way. It's about understanding that each of these things carries a vibration. Each of these things carries an energy and a feeling and a frequency. And it's important for you to feel into those and feel them. And the ones that are really big are going to be really fucking obvious. You need to be aware of those things and not get flooded by it all. Be able to hold her and feel that you're tending and communicating with her nervous system. And it's a nervous system that's from the past. It's not just about the present moment. It's also about a loss in her family. It's also about arguments she's not having with you that she's wanting to hold in. It's also about things that are lingering. It's about disappointments that she maybe even hasn't voiced yet. All of these things are in the field, in the energy. And it's really important for you to honor this, honor the past, honor these things, because otherwise they live in the moment. Great healers do this. Great people that are really able to hold and to listen, to be in full presence and full receptivity can really hold this. And the feminine does this really beautifully and really well. And I'm not asking you to be able to do this as well as the great healers. But what I am wanting to introduce you to is that context means that you start feeling these things, that you start tapping into and feeling into all that lives in the body, all that lives in your body. And if you don't account for it, you start misreading these moments. so much of my relationship. I was misreading what was happening. I thought it was this thing or it was this thing. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I had to start getting curious. Most men, like me, we're oblivious to context. But you have to realize women live. They live in it like fish in water. That's why women have a hard time telling men about it, because it's the water they swim in. This is why men who feel context and who can host it and who can move with it and who start to relish in the details of it, this is where they become the great lovers. They become the great artists. They become the great leaders. How do we do this? How do we live where we start prioritizing context over content? How do you stop fixating on being right and on the right words and the right moves? How do you start becoming curious and a man who feels what's unseen? How do you start being a Jedi? Okay, step one, slow the fuck down. Slow down to feel the field. Content happens fast. It's about answers, it's fixes, it's techniques. Context, you got to slow it all down. Be slow yourself. It reveals itself in silence, in breath, in presence. So before you speak, breathe. Before you respond, breathe. Let your awareness widen. Be wide. Don't rush to solve. Don't rush to speak. Have a pause. Create the space. Will allow her to open. Step two, track your own body in a situation. If you're tight, if you're anxious, if you're checked out, she feels it. If you're checked out, she's going to feel it. You've got to get regulated first. You need to have 2 feet on the floor. You need a deep breath in your belly. Get yourself grounded before you go into the room, before you go into a situation. Widen your frame. Be there physically, like ground yourself. Be there. Be in your body. Feel your heart. Feel the sweat in your hands and your palms. Don't resist feeling anything. Just fucking feel it. Soften your jaw, not clenched. Eyes steady, heart open. This is what makes great athletes, is they're steady and calm in really tense moments. Here's the frame that's helped me the most with this, going back to the Conscious Leadership book. Are you above the line or are you below the line? If you're below the line, you're reactive, you're defensive, you're unregulated, you want to go fast, you're rushed, and you want to be right. And you're always going to prioritize being right, which means you're prioritizing content. If you're above the line, you're going to be spacious, you're going to be present, you're going to be connected to the moment, and you're going to prioritize curiosity over being right. You're going to naturally prioritize context. So this is the difference between unconscious dominance and conscious dominance or conscious leadership. That's the difference. Step 3, track her body, not just her words. Words are content. Her words are often going to lie, but her breath, her posture, her eyes, all this is context. They're not going to lie. Start noticing when her shoulders rise, when she's clenching, when she's constrained, when her breath shortens. Notice when her gaze drifts away. All of this is going to tell you way more about her state than any of her words do. Learn to feel and notice her nervous system. This is what's going to allow you to lead in ways that words alone never get there. Step 4, learn her rhythms. Start learning the patterns. This is where you start needing to do some homework. Start paying attention to the most obvious, the biggest one for most women is that she's got a fucking monthly cycle. Pay attention to it. If she doesn't, she should be having energy highs and lows. She's probably had sensitivities to light, to sound, to space. Learn them. Her food sensitivities. Learn them. She's got emotional rhythms after work and social settings. Learn them. Pay attention. Her breath. Keep a mental map of all of this. And it's not about controlling all of this. It's about being aware of it. It's about care. It's saying, I know you. I see you. I'm with you. And when you start to know these rhythms, you can start to organically start shifting things to be aware in the moment what to do. You can anticipate before you participate. You can anticipate instead of asking, like I talked about before. You can direct her to a chair with better lighting. You can prepare the intimate moment with her capacity in mind and where she's at in that moment. You're contextually aware. You can time playfulness for maximum impact. You can create sets and setting that goes with the current context in the moment. See sensitivity as helpful data. This is how you honor context. And to even further go down here is another step is start really fucking listening to her world. When she speaks, don't rush her. Let her flesh it out. Let her speak a lot more. She should be speaking a lot more than you are. Don't rush in there to fix it. Ask questions. Tell me more. Tell me how that felt. What was the hardest part of your day? What's going on with you now? What's weighing on you? Not because you want the specific answers and you're going to like fix it all. You need to feel her feel. You need her to feel that you care and that you're listening and that you're getting her context. You're gathering context. You're taking the whole scene in. This is what lets her relax, lets her ego relax. She feels heard. She feels seen. She feels that her story, her brain, her mind, her body, all of this, that her perspective, her thoughts, that they matter. And once she's able to be received in that way, she starts to finally let go and let you take the lead. That's the whole point. Step 6, you've got to context check the environment. Every situation you enter into, check situational awareness. Check it out. Every environment, every situation has a backdrop, has a context. There's the lights, there's the music, there's the people, there's the vibe, there's the clutter in the room. If it's your room, make it better. If it's not your room and you have no agency there, navigate it better. So hold that. Even the tension in the air from a barking dog or from the fucking leaf blower, all that shit. Scan it like you're the host and you're the protector. What little job, what little ways can you shift and move to make it more easeful? If you can dim the light, dim the light. If you can clear the clutter, clear the clutter. Even if it's not your space, take agency as much as you can in that space. Turn off your phones. Get her the blanket. It's all about making small context shifts. They create massive openings. Remember the last episode about romance. Romance is not about big performance. It's not about doing the right thing. It's about the right energy. It's the right context. Peanut butter sandwich offered with love and presence can be so much more fucking romantic than a dozen fucking roses done with resentment or entitlement. So let's go to the next step. You can practice context outside of the bedroom. Context isn't just in the erotic moments. It's in how you walk her to dinner. It's how you show up to a conversation with your kid, even when she's not there. It's how you handle conflict at work, because you're going to bring that to her. She wants you not walking in with that frantic energy that everyone feels. If you walk in grounded, regulated, and open, guess what? Everyone feels that as well. So use every situation to practice context. Train yourself to start feeling the whole field and not just the surface content, not just to be consumed in your shit, but to actually be able to be out there situationally aware of the space that you're in. Train yourself to start reading the whole field, to start going beyond the surface content, to start being situationally aware. Context is situational awareness. Integrate Next step, integrate and repeat. This is not a one-time fix. This is a practice. This is a lifestyle. Every time you choose to slow down instead of rush, every time you choose to regulate instead of collapse, every time you choose to drive with more restraint so your passenger can enjoy their drive, every time you track her rhythms instead of ignoring them, every time you're paying attention to her sensitivities and listening, you start being the man who holds context. She starts trusting you more. When you can hold the context, she can finally let go. She can finally relax. She can finally start trusting you. Again, in our relationship, constantly was focused on the what. I'm a researcher and a learner and obsessing over what's the right way to do things and learning. And I focus on the what. And I'd be saying the right things. I'd be doing the right moves. I'm checking all these boxes off. But my energy was off. And I didn't even know the fuck what that was. I didn't even know what that meant by nervous system and energy and all this. And then what happened? I wasn't noticing her exhaustion. I wasn't aware of the grief underneath. I wasn't aware of how much she was going through and holding. And guess what? She collapsed. She got sicker and sicker. We've had to readjust and do a lot because there was a certain collapse. And I had no idea why. And now when I host her context, when I know her rhythms, when I ask about her world, when I notice her breath before her words, when I modulate the way that I come in, she trusts me more. She trusts me more. And she softens and she opens. And guess what? The polarity, the energy between us is fucking electrifying. Ugh. So, content matters, yes, but context matters more. Anyone can learn a technique. Anyone can memorize the right words. But not every person can really understand context because it takes someone to do the inner work. Because a man who starts to know the context, who feels the energy underneath, who starts to read the room, who starts to become situationally aware, who knows his woman's rhythms, her sensitivities, that's the man who becomes unforgettable. That's the man she will surrender to for the rest of her life, because it's about prioritizing context over content. That's how you get a sustainable, surrendered, submissive, feminine energy for life. That's how trust finally comes back. That's how her desire comes back online. If this landed with you, come follow us at Instagram at DSRX Studio. Click the link in the bio to join our email list. This work has real impact. So if you want more of it, please come back here. Thank you very much for being here. And I appreciate everyone who's listening and leaving comments. So thank you.